35. Today I'm going to be showing you guys some more advanced scales. So in this I'm going to be showing you scales in thirds, scales in sixths, formula patterns, and I'll just go on from there and get a whole bunch of other more advanced scale techniques out of the way. Yeah, so that should help you guys improve your technique even more than it already is. Hopefully you guys are doing at least 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes a day of practicing with your scales. You could do 2 10-minute sessions a day, and that would really grossly improve your ability to play the piano technically, that is. Of course, there's still the emotional aspect, phrasing and dynamics, but then, there's the sight reading. But also technique is another part of it, so you need to be able to play the notes, and if you don't have the finger technique that the piece demands, then you're going to have a hard time playing it, right? So yeah, that's why we do scale exercises, and also you can use those to create your own pieces, because most pieces are based off scales. So yeah. Alright, so let's get right into it. So the first type of scale I'm going to show you here for the more advanced basically scales is it's called scales in thirds. So you'll take a major scale such as like C major or something, and what you'll do is you'll start with C here, and then you'll start with your E down, or sorry, that's a sixth. What am I thinking? What you're going to do is play them like this. So you're going to put your thumb here, or I guess you could put your third finger here. What you're basically going to do is play your regular scale, right? Like just how you have, say you have a C major scale like that. What you're going to do is, these are an octave apart right now. You have a C to a C. So what you're going to do is actually going to make it a third apart. So this gives it a really cool sound. So you're going to put, I'm just going to move my fifth finger up here. I guess I could put it here. So I'm going to take my thumb and move it down to the E and then put my third finger on it. Because if I was doing that, I'd end up on my third. Just like this. If I was playing C major, 1, 2, 3, that's what finger would be on E normally if I was playing C major. But I'm going to start here with my fifth right here. Okay? Now all that little stuff I did was extra. Now how it's going to work, you're going to put your third finger on E, your fifth on C, and you're going to try to make both your hands go in a straight line, level, no bumps. Now the tricky part is, basically your hands are going to be doing tucks at different times than they're used to, because this is different. But once you get used to it, it's just like anything else. It's easy. Now that one of the hard parts here is because normally you think, I'm stopping on C. But since the top note here is an E, when you're doing your right hand, you actually have to keep going past C, and then you stop on E, because your left hand gets to C. And then you go back down. Just like that. And you can take that with any scale you want to, like A major. So you can do all your different scales. Now, something you want to be doing when you're doing your scales is something called like direction. So it's voicing the scale, basically giving it sort of like almost a crescendo and a decrescendo. So it's giving it a direction, or which note is it going to, right? Where's the climax of the piece? So when you're doing C major, let's take this for example. So we're going to start off kind of quiet. Now one thing I want to start off telling you first is that every second you're at the piano, you have to be practicing making music. If you're just practicing and you're just kind of purposely not doing well, like you're screwing yourself up on purpose, what are you practicing? Awkward silence. You're practicing basically doing bad, or practicing not your best, or practicing playing poorly, practicing playing without emotion, practice playing without musicality. So always practice your best, and your best will get better. But if you just fool around and you don't play your best all the time, then you're not going to get much better, because it's going to be every step you take forward when you're trying really hard, if you screw around or whatever, then it's going to go backwards on you. So it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, right? Or one. It just depends on how much you're doing it. So if every second you're at the piano, you're always trying to make music, what are you going to be better at making? Music, right? Makes sense. Okay, so even when we do our scales, they can sound lovely too. So this is how it works. So I'm going to start off kind of quiet, and I'm going to build up to the top, and then I'm going to kind of gently give myself a nice ending. So. Now another thing you can do. Oh, do you hear my cat meowing? She wants in. Now let's do it with like a scale. Okay, so. Now I'm not sure if I keep going, will it go off the camera? Okay, anyway. So just like that. See how there's a little bit more direction? Now I'm not pro, it takes a lot of practice to get good at this. Basically what it's actually going to do also is you're trying to get louder and then gradually getting louder and gradually getting softer. And what that will do is basically improve that you're doing a long crescendo line, doing a long decrescendo line. So that'll help you in your phrasing and your music when you're trying to play a long passage and slowly get softer. Because sometimes you'll have like an entire page where you just have to like do a crescendo where it's just getting louder and louder and louder and louder, and then there's this one bar where you're at your loudest. And the whole page is just leading up to that one bar. So doing this, practicing your scales like with dynamics, like crescendos and decrescendos will help so much. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop it now for that part and move on to the next part and let my cat in. Alright, so the next thing we're going to cover is something called formula patterns. Let's get my beaker and we'll create a new alloy out of uranium. And let's blows up. That's what I always think about when someone talks about formula patterns. It sounds like so scientific, but it's really not. Okay, so formula patterns. Sorry about that, I just had to do a little coughing. Okay, so let's get back to work here. No, all the coughing aside. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with both thumbs. Well, we're going to start on C because we're just going to do a C major formula pattern. Just like this. And basically, formula patterns are a mix of contrary motion and parallel motion all mixed together. So it's sort of like I take a beaker of parallel motion and a beaker of parallel motion and I put them together and oh, I have a formula pattern. So yeah, I guess that's what it could be. So there's like sort of like a little dance that I teach my students just with the hands to show them how it works. So what you'll do is you'll have your hands on the left like this, okay? So left. And what you're going to do, they're going to both be down here. Now they're both going to go up, 1, like this. Then they're going to go out, and then in, and then up, and then middle, and then out, and then middle, and then down. So how you do, you put your hands together like this, go up 1 octave, then out 1 octave, in 1 octave, up 1 octave together, back to the middle, then out 1 octave, come back in, and then go back down. So do this with your hands. Try to go together, middle, out, middle, up, middle, down, middle, out, middle, down. Now my cat's making a little fuss. She was just outside. Okay, hold on a second. So that pattern goes left, middle, out, middle, up, middle, out, middle, down. Just like that. Okay? So what we're going to do, well, I'll do this really slowly. Okay? So I start on both C's. Now I'm going to go up 1 octave with both hands. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into contrary motion. I'm going to go 1 octave apart. Now I'm going to come back together 1 octave. Now we're going to go up 1 octave together. Now I'm going to go back down an octave. Now I'm going to go apart an octave. Now I'm going to go together and then down. So I just think of it like this. I have a parallel motion. I go parallel motion to the middle. Once I get to the middle, then each hand, it goes back and forth between contrary and parallel each time, sort of. It's like a segment when I get to the C's, okay? The parallel motion goes up, and then once it gets back to the middle, then it does its little contrary motion thing, and then it goes back down. Basically, all you're doing is like this. And then inside of all those, then you have parallel motion, or contrary motion mixed in there. So now let's split. Now let's go up. Now we can split again. Now and then go back down. Just like that. And that's how it works. Sometimes I also think about it as like a breakup, like two friends, like a girlfriend and boyfriend or whatever, and they're like, hey guys, let's go out. Yay! Now I don't like you anymore. Oh, I miss you guys. Like, oh, let's go off and have friends. No, I don't like you anymore. Oh, let's go back. Yeah, and then they just, went back and played together. So it's like when they're fighting or they're coming back together and then they play. This is when they're all together and they're having fun, and then they're like, fight. And then they're like, I miss you. Dun, 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 dun. Ah, they don't like each other. Kind of like that. Anyway, that's contrary motion. Now, you can do that for basically every key. And then, just like that, you can just go on to different keys. It's expected of you when you do, in Canada we have the RCM. And in grade 10, you're supposed to do every single scale contrary motions. So that exists. So major and minor. So C major, C minor, D flat major, D major. Like everything. So yeah, it can be a little tricky. It builds a lot more independence of hands. It's really good for that. Great for speed, good for direction. You want to hear a clean tone, you want to hear direction, you want to hear evenness. You don't want any bumps. You want to hear shaping. You want to hear good speed, but speed that's in control, okay? Speed that's in control, nice even sound, and you'll do that by not moving your hand up and down like this and keeping it in a nice motion, just straight, riding on that superhighway. So yeah, that is those are formula patterns right there. So practice those lots. Okay, now we've got sort of an interesting scale to go through. This is called a polyrhythm scale. So you can practice your polyrhythms this way. Now this one isn't actually used in actual scale formats. It's not something that is required to do for technical requirements and grades like piano, but it's something that is possible to do. So what you're basically going to do is, if you remember polyrhythms, it's not difficult, not difficult, not difficult, not difficult, like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to both start on C, and we'll go. Like that. So not difficult, not difficult, not difficult, not difficult, not difficult, not difficult, like that. And that's how you do a 2-3 scale, and then you can mix it up. So yeah, if you're doing the left hand with the faster notes, then basically you're going to have to give yourself an octave kind of gap, like buffer, because your left hand will actually be going faster than your right, because every beat you're doing 3 notes here and 2 notes here. So every time it's moving 33%. Well, 33.3% farther every beat than your right hand, or whatever hand's doing the less notes. So yeah, you can do those, and you can do those with all the different rhythms. Now, they're great for practicing your polyrhythm steadiness. They're good for hand independence. They're good for your technique. They're great. Use them, lots. You're probably going to want to use them in whatever you have a really strong key. So whatever your strongest key is, do it in that. And then do it until they match up on the same note again, because it'll take a while. Usually once they match up on that same note, then you can stop and then go back down until they match up on the same note. Because they will eventually. Like I ended on 2 C's up here, right? If you guys are watching. Okay, so that is that. Now, the next part that we're going to do will be, I guess I'll just stop it and then go to that. Okay, so the next scale we're going to use is called a repeated scale. So we're going to go, you can use this to actually improve weaker scales. So you take a key that you're weak in, say you're weak in E major. So what we'll do is this will actually help your repeated notes. And how you do it is you go 3, 2, 1 on the same notes, kind of like that. So what you'll do is, can you see it better? Here you go. That kind of feels weird. My fingernail got chopped off and it really feels weird when I do that. Because it's part of it's like sticking out. Anyway. Okay, so what you'll do. So basically I'm going 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. And I'm pulling them back like this. And then if I, like it's going like this. Oh yeah, I could show you with this. Okay, so basically what you want to do, you'll get faster at it as you do it more. I'm actually not very good at it because I hardly ever do it. But it is something that you could practice. So, there's actually lots of repeated notes in, like in Fury Elise by Beethoven. Like there's that part in it, but you actually have to do whatever, right? So you've got a repeated thing going on in the left hand here too. So they do use it in certain pieces, especially like Liszt uses it quite a bit. There's a piece, Alborada by Ravel, they have it, a repeated note. Okay, anyway, but this is really good for basically improving a scale that's weak because you have to play each note 3 times and you're basically really looking at those notes. So here we go, it's 3, like that. But I guess I'll do it slower, so it's like this. And then I guess you can go back down. Man, I sucked up there. That was horrible. I'm not really proud of myself there. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. I'd say I gave myself like a 2.2 out of 10 on that. Maybe 1,000. 2.2 out of 1,000. That was how bad I did on that. Okay, anyway. Yeah. So practice those. Get better at me. Maybe you could get better at me at that in like 2 hours of practice. Because I mean, I suck at that really bad. But it's still very valuable. See, there's a lot of stuff that I don't actually do because I'm too busy teaching or making videos or doing other things with my time. I just don't have enough time to practice what actually I should be practicing, but yeah. Anyway, I know a fair bit. I don't know. I wouldn't call myself like a master or anything because I mean, like the person I'm going down to Vancouver to teach, to like get lessons from and everything, he's been teaching for like, what, like 60 years? So I've only been teaching, or I've only been playing for what, like 20, like almost 20 years, so. Well, like 16, 17 years, but I mean, so I couldn't call myself a master yet. He's been playing so long and teaching so long. That's a master for you, not me. But I still know quite a bit. Okay, and I know what you guys should be doing to improve yourselves to a good level. And then once you get to like a higher level, go to a good teacher. It's always important to go to a really good teacher, okay? Very good teacher will help you much more than just an average teacher. Even if they're like $20 more a lesson, they're so worth it, so much worth it. But also make sure that they match your personality. Like if you're gonna take lessons from someone, make sure you interview them, like see them and they'll interview you, right? make sure that it's going to be like a good relationship, something where both people are comfortable and their teaching style, you know, makes you feel comfortable and like you're having fun and that you're learning stuff and that you just feel comfortable with them. Like that you can open up and be yourself around them and that you have a good communication line. You don't want someone that you can't really understand, right? So yeah, those are some good tips for finding good teachers. A little bit of bonus material in this one. Wasn't really planning to talk about that, but yeah. Okay, so doing repeated scales can be very useful. Try doing them on every key that you're weak with, and I'm pretty sure that probably within a day, maybe 2 days, you'll be much better. You'll have a way better knowledge of what keys are in that key. What notes are in that key. Anyway, so yeah, that is basically the repeated note. So just doing that 3, 2, 1 thing. Okay? And I mean, you could do a 4 if you wanted. You can do 4 notes in a row. You can just go crazy, but that actually hurts my finger a lot to do that the way my fingernail is right now. Anyway, okay, so yeah, that is the repeated note. And yeah, I think that's it for the scales for now. So take care, guys. Now I'll do my
the lesson on scales, and hopefully these advanced or more advanced techniques will help you to basically conquer the keyboard. Because yeah, technique is basically all about conquering the keyboard and sort of making it your slave. You're the master, the keyboard is the slave, and that's what you really want to get out of this. Is just making the keyboard do what you want. Basically, make your fingers do what you want. Because I mean, the keyboard just sits here, but it's making the notes go down when you want them to, with the right sound, with the right evenness. Like, technique isn't just about playing a whole bunch of notes quickly, it's about playing those notes quickly or slowly, also with very precise control, dynamic control, touch control, rhythmic control, steadiness control, like so many different ways. Like, do you want the right touch out of it? Do you want the right rhythm? All those different things. So that's what good technique will do. So you can keep going with all those things, and yeah, scales are very much worth it. So try to break up your practice time, like I said before, probably in a morning session and a night session. That way it gives your hands a break. Something I also did before, like say I have a day off, it just doesn't happen very often, but when it does, basically what I'll do if I want to work on my technique is I'll do a few keys at a time. Usually I'll do, you know, a C, like something with C, then something with D flat, then something with D, and I'll go up chromatically through the keys with all my different, what are they called? Like the arpeggios, and I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, anyway, like all the different, it's called elements, yeah, all the different elements. So like the scales, the formula patterns, the chromatic scales, the arpeggios, the dominant seventh, diminished seventh, all those different fun things. I go through all those keys, but I go for about 10 minutes on, and then 5 minutes off. I walk around, and that keeps the blood flowing through just keeps my heart rate up enough, versus just sitting down and being like, bleh. Like, yeah. I'd rather just walk around and kind of just, you know, keep myself awake. Then I come back, play more, and go back, play more. It's kind of fun actually, and then every time you're getting better and better. And then after about 5, 6 times, then I'm done for the day, and then that's it. But yeah. Anyway, so hopefully you found that helpful, and take care, guys.